The distress call from the stars. The silence of deep space was broken by a series of unusual patterns appearing on the main sensor array of the UES Thunderchild. Lieutenant Kai Tanaka leaned forward, his eyes narrowing as he studied the unfamiliar signal. "Captain Novik," he called, his voice tight with controlled excitement. "I'm detecting an unusual transmission on multiple frequencies. It's not one of ours." Captain Alina Novik moved swiftly to the bridge's central console, her tall frame commanding attention as she approached. At 43, Novik was among the most decorated officers in the United Earth Defense Force, with 3 combat tours against the Mars separatists that had earned her both respect and the prominent scar that ran from her left temple to jawline. "Show me," she ordered, her voice carrying the calm authority that had become her trademark. The main display illuminated with strange patterns, mathematical sequences interspersed with pictograms showing planets, explosions, and fleeing ships. Even without translation, the message was unmistakable. Someone was desperately calling for help. "How far?" Novik asked, studying the patterns with intense focus. "Based on signal degradation, approximately 4.7 light-years from our position in the Proxima sector," replied the ship's AI, designated Minerva. "The transmission appears to be approximately 5 Earth days old." Novik's jaw tightened. In space combat, 5 days could mean the difference between salvation and genocide. "Commander Ortiz, contact Fleet Command. We've intercepted what appears to be an alien distress call. Request permission to investigate with Battle Group 7. Commander Javier Ortiz, Novik's executive officer and longest-serving crew member, nodded and moved to the communications station. His fingers flew across the holographic interface with practiced precision. Within 30 minutes their answer arrived. "Permission granted. Proceed with full battle group. Exercise extreme caution. First contact protocols apply unless hostile intent is confirmed." Novik called her senior officers to the war room. As digital star charts and signal data floated in the holographic display, she studied the faces around her. These were Earth's finest, men and women who had risen through the ranks during humanity's tumultuous expansion through their solar system. "Ladies and gentlemen," Novik began, "we've been authorized to investigate this distress call. Fleet Command is treating this as both a rescue operation and a first contact scenario." Lieutenant Commander Huang Wei, tactical officer and weapons specialist, spoke up. "Captain, should we be concerned about our classification as a Category III species?" It was a valid question. Humans had evolved on Earth, a planet with higher gravity, more extreme weather, and deadlier predators than most habitable worlds. This made humans naturally stronger, more durable, and more aggressive than many of the species they'd encountered during their limited ventures beyond their solar system. Those few alien traders who'd visited Earth often referred to humans as deathworlders, creatures evolved to survive conditions that would kill most sentient beings. "That's precisely why we're going," Novik replied firmly. "Someone out there is facing something they can't handle. We can, and we have a duty to help." Major Darius Jackson, commander of the Thunderchild's Marine contingent, studied the signal patterns on his data pad. "My troops stand ready, Captain. If there's fighting to be done, we'll handle it." Novik looked around the table at her crew. The 5 warships under her command carried Earth's finest soldiers, fast, strong, and adaptive. Humans had survived on their challenging homeworld by being all 3. "Prepare the battle group for hyperspace jump. All ships at combat readiness," Novik ordered. "We don't know what we're flying into." As the meeting ended, Novik remained behind, studying the alien message one more time. Something about the mathematical precision of the distress call bothered her. In her 15 years of service, she'd learned that desperate situations rarely had simple solutions. Throughout the battle group, preparations intensified. Engineers calibrated weapon systems, medical teams prepared trauma units, and Marines checked their powered armor. Exoskeletons designed to enhance humanity's already considerable physical advantages. On the bridge of the Thunderchild, Novik took her command chair and gave the final order: jump. In 5 synchronized flashes of light, the human warships disappeared into hyperspace, racing toward an unknown enemy and a species crying out for salvation. The human battle group emerged at the edge of an unfamiliar star system, sensors immediately mapping their surroundings. Captain Novik stood from her chair, eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Full sensor sweep. I want to know what we're dealing with," she commanded. 7 planets orbiting a K-class star, reported Lieutenant Tanaka. Third planet shows signs of advanced civilization, but, Captain, there's extensive damage to the planet's surface. Orbital infrastructure has been destroyed, and we're detecting debris fields consistent with recent space combat. Commander Ortiz's voice was grim as he added, multiple spacecraft detected in nearby space. Two distinct design philosophies. One group appears to be pursuing the other. Novik studied the images closely. The smaller ships are running, the larger ones are hunting them down. Lieutenant Commander Huang stepped forward with a suggestion. Captain, request permission to lead a first contact team. Those fleeing ships might be the ones who sent the distress call. Novik nodded. Approved, take our fastest shuttle and a security detail. Approach with caution, weapons systems passive but ready. Within minutes, Huang and her team launched toward the nearest group of elegant, curved vessels that resembled aquatic creatures from Earth. Their designs stood in stark contrast to the angular, insectoid ships pursuing them. This is Lieutenant Commander Wei Huang of the United Earth Defense Force. We received your distress signal and have come to render assistance. Please respond, she broadcast on all frequencies. After several tense moments, a reply came through, musical tones and flowing sounds that Minerva couldn't immediately translate. Huang repeated her message, and this time a visual appeared on her screen. The alien had luminescent silver skin, four large eyes with star-like pupils and delicate branch-like appendages. It spoke, and Minerva provided a rough translation. Humans, you respond to our plea, the void will consume you too, why risk yourselves for strangers? Because someone asked for help, Huang replied simply. I'm Lieutenant Commander Huang, who are you and what's happening here? I am Zephyrin, first speaker of the Luminari Conquered. The Void Collective began their harvest cycle 3 rotations ago. They seek our biological essence. We cannot resist them effectively. Our species evolved for creation, not destruction. When Huang's shuttle docked with the Luminari vessel, she witnessed firsthand how different they were from humans. The Luminari were tall and graceful, but physically fragile. Their homeworld had evolved with minimal environmental pressures or predators, creating a species that never developed the physical resilience that humans took for granted. Your kind comes from a high-gravity death world, Zephyrin observed, watching Huang's security team move with fluid efficiency. Your bodies are dense with muscle and reinforced bone. You move like apex predators. Huang hadn't considered it from that perspective. To humans, Earth wasn't particularly dangerous, it was simply home. But to these beings, humans must seem like creatures forged in nightmare conditions. As they moved deeper into the Luminari vessel, Huang saw hundreds of refugees' families huddled together, children with those strange star-pupiled eyes looking up in wonder and fear. Many were injured, all appeared exhausted. The Luminari Council greeted them in a crystalline chamber. 7 elders listened as Zephyrin explained the humans' arrival. The Void Collective has destroyed 3 of our colonies, said the head counselor, her voice translated as a melody of sorrow. They will not stop until they have consumed us all. We have no weapons that can harm them. Show me what they look like, Huang requested. A hologram appeared, displaying the enemy ship's dark, angular vessels that resembled massive insects. Then came images of the Void Collective themselves, arthropod-like beings with multiple limbs, chitinous exoskeletons, and compound eyes. Huang activated her neural link to the Thunderchild. Captain Novik, I'm sending you data on both species. The Luminari sent the distress call. They're under attack by something called the Void Collective, a hive mind species harvesting biological material from the Luminari. Captain Novik's voice came through clearly. Understood, Commander, return to the fleet. We're going to need a battle plan. Back aboard the Thunderchild, Novik's officers gathered around the holographic display. The captain studied the images of the Void Collective ships with focused intensity. Their formations are too perfect, she observed, almost like they're all extensions of a single consciousness. Lieutenant Tanaka analyzed the data from their sensors. You might be right, Captain. We're detecting unusual quantum-entangled communication patterns between their vessels. They appear to operate as a synchronized collective. Major Jackson entered the briefing, his imposing frame filling the doorway. As commander of the Thunderchild's Marine Forces, Jackson had earned a reputation for achieving the impossible. His special operations team, codenamed Chimera Squad, consisted of Earth's finest soldiers. What are we looking at, Captain? Jackson asked, his deep voice resonating in the chamber. The enemy is called the Void Collective. They're harvesting a peaceful species called the Luminari, Novik explained. Their ships move with perfect synchronization. We believe they operate through a hive consciousness. Jackson nodded slowly. That could be both a strength and weakness. As the tactical display updated with new information from continuing scans, Commander Ortiz pointed to different sections of the enemy fleet. We've identified 3 classifications of vessels. The large ones appear to be command and processing ships. Medium vessels function as weapons platforms. Small ones seem to serve as harvester units. Dr. Nadia Volkov, the battle group's lead scientist, studied the scans with clinical precision. Their technology is fascinating. Energy-based weapons and defensive systems, but their hulls show vulnerability to kinetic impacts. Most notably, their communication network operates on very specific quantum frequencies. If we could disrupt those. Novik began to formulate a plan. If they think as one, what happens if we cut off their communication? Confusion, hopefully, Dr. Volkov replied. But we'd need to get close to their command ships to effectively jam their quantum network. Major Jackson stepped forward. My team can handle that. We can use our stealth dropships to get close enough. Novik looked around at her officers, each an expert in their field. Humans might be newcomers to interstellar conflicts, but they brought something unique. A species that had evolved to overcome challenges through innovation, adaptability, and sheer determination. As Lieutenant Commander Huang returned from her meeting with the Luminari, she brought disturbing news. Captain, there's something else you should know. The Void Collective isn't just taking resources or territory. They're harvesting the Luminari themselves, their biological material, possibly even their consciousness. Explain, Novik ordered. The Luminari possess a unique biological trait. Their neural networks can regenerate and adapt at rates unheard of in other species. The collective takes prisoners to their main processing ship. None return. The Luminari believe they're being harvested to enhance the collective's hive mind. Major Jackson's expression hardened. Then we have another objective, free any prisoners. Captain Novik began assigning tasks. Dr. Volkov, focus on jamming their quantum network. Lieutenant Tanaka, analyze their attack patterns and find exploitable weaknesses. Major Jackson, prepare Chimera Squad for both space and ground operations. Commander Huang, coordinate with the Luminari ships. As the officers dispersed to carry out their orders, Novik remained behind with Major Jackson. Darius, this won't be easy, she said quietly. We're facing an enemy unlike anything we've encountered and we're outnumbered. Jackson's face broke into a slight smile. We usually are, Captain, but they've never fought humans before. They don't know what Deathworlders can do when protecting the innocent. Throughout the battle group, preparations accelerated. Engineers modified weapons to better penetrate alien shields. Pilots studied enemy flight patterns. Marines checked their combat exoskeletons and weapons. In just 6 hours, the human battle group was ready. Captain Novik gave the final order, move into position. It's time to introduce ourselves to the Void Collective, humanity's devastating response. The 5 human warships moved into formation at the edge of the Luminari system. From the bridge of the Thunderchild, Captain Novik watched the Void Collective vessels surrounding the Luminari homeworld. The dark, insectoid ships hung in space like predators, methodically harvesting both resources and living beings from the once peaceful planet. All ships report ready, Captain, Lieutenant Tanaka announced, his fingers dancing across the tactical console. Novik nodded, her scarred face illuminated by the glow of battle stations. Begin Operation Thunderstrike. On her command, 2 smaller human vessels, the Valiant and the Defiant, accelerated forward, appearing to charge directly at the largest enemy command ship. The Void Collective responded exactly as anticipated, their perfect formation shifting as they turned to face this new threat. Their ships are taking the bait, Commander Ortiz reported, weapons systems powering up on all enemy vessels. All enemy ships are focusing on Valiant and Defiant, confirmed Lieutenant Tanaka. They're following the predicted response pattern. The human ships fired what appeared to be a disorganized barrage of conventional missiles. To the Void Collective, such primitive kinetic weapons must have seemed laughable compared to their advanced energy weapons. But this was precisely what Novik had planned. In the pilot chamber of her experimental Razorwing fighter, Captain Zara Chen watched the missiles fly ahead of her squadron. Unlike traditional pilots, Chen controlled her craft through neural links, allowing her to fly with the speed of thought itself. Phoenix Squadron follow the missile path. When they detonate, push through the gap, she ordered her pilots. The missiles exploded before reaching the enemy ships, creating a massive cloud of debris and electromagnetic energy. This wasn't a failure, it was strategy. The cloud blocked the collective's sensors and disrupted their energy weapon targeting systems. Chen led her squadron through the chaos, their weapons primed. Target their communication arrays, precision strikes only. 12 fighters burst through the debris cloud, firing concentrated pulses at specific points on the enemy ships. These weren't meant to destroy, just to disrupt the hive-mind connection. On the Thunderchild's bridge, Novik watched the battle unfold with focused intensity. Now, Dr. Volkov. Dr. Volkov activated the quantum jamming device her team had created. Jamming initiated, targeting their primary frequencies. The effect was immediate. Several enemy ships suddenly stopped moving. Others began firing randomly, some even hitting their own vessels. "It's working," Commander Ortiz said, unable to hide his satisfaction. "They can't coordinate without the hive connection." Novik remained stone-faced. This was only the first phase of a complex operation. "Major Jackson, you're cleared to launch." In the Thunderchild's launch bay, Major Darius Jackson and his Chimera squad boarded their stealth dropship. 12 elite soldiers in advanced combat exoskeletons checked their equipment one final time. "Our objective is clear," Jackson briefed them. "We reach their command ship, gather intelligence on their harvesting operation, and free any Luminari prisoners. We go in quiet, we hit hard, and we extract before they realize what happened." The stealth dropship detached from the Thunderchild, its adaptive camouflage and quantum dampening systems making it nearly invisible to enemy sensors. Meanwhile, the space battle intensified. The Void Collective was recovering, their ships beginning to form new patterns as they adapted to fight individually rather than as a collective. "Captain, we're detecting a massive energy buildup in their larger vessels," Lieutenant Tanaka called out, his voice tense. "All vessels execute evasive pattern Delta," Novik commanded. "Captain Chen, get your squadron clear." The human ships scattered just as the enemy fired their main weapons, devastating beams of destructive energy cutting through the vacuum. One human fighter wasn't fast enough, exploding in a brief flash of light. "Lieutenant Rodriguez is gone," Chen reported, her voice tight with controlled anger. "Permission to engage with heavy ordnance." "Granted," Novik replied without hesitation. All ships switched to Phase 2, target their weapon systems. The human fleet suddenly changed tactics. Instead of maintaining their distance, they moved closer to the enemy, entering ranges that most space combat avoided. This allowed their kinetic weapons, physical projectiles accelerated to incredible velocities, to tear through the enemy's energy shields. One collective ship exploded, then another. The remaining enemy vessels began to fall back, reforming their lines around their largest vessel. "They're retreating to defensive positions," Commander Ortiz reported with satisfaction. But Novik saw something else in their movement pattern. "No, they're not retreating. Look at their formation, they're protecting something." The main tactical display revealed a new energy signature emerging from behind the Luminari's moon. A massive ship 3 times larger than any they'd seen, its surface covered with processing nodes and harvest chambers. "That's their mothership," Novik said quietly. "The real battle is just beginning." Major Jackson's dropship landed silently on the surface of the Luminari homeworld. The planet's landscape showed the brutal scars of invasion. Burning forests, destroyed cities, and crashed ships dotted the terrain. "Chimera squad, sound off," Jackson ordered as they prepared to disembark. One by one, his 11 team members confirmed their readiness. Each soldier wore advanced combat armor specifically designed to enhance human strength and speed. On their Deathworld home, humans had evolved to be naturally stronger and more durable than most species, and their equipment amplified these advantages. "Our mission priorities are intelligence gathering and prisoner rescue," Jackson reminded them. "Lieutenant Cortez, what's our first target?" Lieutenant Sofia Cortez checked their tactical display. "Intel from the Luminari indicates a processing center 2.5 kilometers east, Major. The collective has established some kind of harvesting facility there." Jackson nodded grimly. "That's our primary objective. Move out, stay low." The squad moved through the alien forest with practiced silence. Years of training on Earth's varied and dangerous terrain had made them natural infiltrators. As they approached the processing center, they saw their first Void Collective soldiers up close. The aliens stood nearly 8 feet tall, with 6 limbs and armored exoskeletons. They moved with mechanical precision, herding Luminari civilians into transport vehicles. "They're taking them to the ships," Lieutenant Cortez whispered, watching through enhanced optics, just like the Luminari Council said. Jackson studied the enemy patterns carefully. They're organized but not particularly alert. They don't expect resistance. He divided his team into 3 groups. "Cortez, take your team and set up a perimeter. Santos, your group will free the civilians. My team will target their command post." The attack began with perfect coordination. Cortez's team disabled the enemy's communication equipment with targeted EMP charges. Santos's group moved among the transport vehicles, quietly eliminating guards and releasing prisoners. Jackson led his team toward the central facility. Inside, they found something disturbing. Luminari civilians strapped to examination tables, while Void Collective scientists extracted neural tissue and biological samples. "What are they doing?" Sergeant Khalid asked, horrified by the scene. Jackson accessed one of the alien terminals, his suit's AI translating the strange symbols. "They're harvesting neural tissue. The Luminari possess advanced neural plasticity and regenerative capabilities. The collective wants to incorporate these traits into their hive mind." A sound behind them made the team turn, weapons raised. A Luminari female stood there, trembling with fear. "We won't hurt you," Jackson said, lowering his weapon. "We're here to help." "More come," she said in halting English, learned from her brief contact with Lieutenant Commander Huang. "Many more. They take us to the big ship." Jackson helped her sit down. "What happens on the big ship?" "No one returns," she whispered. After securing the building and freeing the remaining prisoners, Jackson's team discovered the facility's data center. The information they found was alarming. The Void Collective wasn't just harvesting the Luminari for their biological material. They were using them to enhance their own hive consciousness. The mothership served as the central processing hub for this grotesque operation. "We need to get this information to Captain Novak," Jackson decided, "and we need to stop those transports from reaching the mothership." As Chimera Squad planted explosives around the collective base, Jackson received an urgent transmission from the fleet. "Major, the situation has escalated," came Captain Novak's voice. "The mothership is moving into attack position. We're engaging their fleet, but we need to know their weaknesses." Jackson transmitted the data they discovered. "Captain, they're harvesting the Luminari for their neural regenerative capabilities. The mothership is their processing center. If we can disable it, their whole operation falls apart." "Can you reach it?" Novak asked. Jackson looked at his team, the finest soldiers humanity had to offer. Each one nodded without hesitation. "Yes, ma'am, Chimera Squad will infiltrate the mothership. Just get us close enough." "Understood, return to orbit. We'll create your opening," Novak replied. As the dropship lifted off, Jackson could see the battle raging in space above them. The human fleet was outnumbered but fighting with remarkable effectiveness. "This is what we trained for," he told his team. "Today we show the galaxy what humans can do when protecting those who cannot protect themselves." In space, Captain Novak watched the massive Void Collective mothership move into attack position. Its size dwarfed even the largest human vessel, and energy readings showed weapons powerful enough to devastate entire planets. "All ships begin retreat pattern Alpha," Novak ordered, her voice calm despite the mounting danger. Lieutenant Tanaka looked shocked. "Captain, we're retreating." Novak's eyes never left the tactical display. "Sometimes appearing weak is your greatest strength, Lieutenant. Broadcast damage reports on open channels. Make sure the enemy hears us." Throughout the fleet, human crews sent fake distress calls. Their ships moved away from the planet in what appeared to be a disorganized escape. The Void Collective vessels followed exactly as Novak had predicted, their formation spreading out as they pursued what they thought were easy targets. "They're chasing us," Commander Ortiz confirmed. "All enemy ships have left orbit except the mothership." Novak nodded with satisfaction. "Captain Chen, is your squadron in position?" From the hidden side of one of the system's moons, Chen replied, "Yes, Captain. Phoenix Squadron ready to deploy the package." "Execute," Novak ordered. Chen's fighters raced toward the mothership, carrying devices designed by Dr. Volkov. These weren't weapons, they were advanced quantum jammers that would isolate the mothership from its fleet. Approaching target, Chen reported, no sign they've detected us. Her squadron released the devices, which attached to the mothership's hull and activated immediately. The connection between the mothership and the rest of the Void collective fleet was severed. On the bridge of the Thunderchild, Novik gave her next command. All vessels attack Pattern Omega, focus fire on their lead ships. The human fleet suddenly halted their retreat. Their engines flared as they turned and accelerated toward the surprised enemy ships. Without guidance from the mothership, the collective vessels hesitated. That moment of confusion was all the humans needed. Their weapons struck with precision, targeting the weak points identified during previous engagements. Meanwhile, Dr. Volkov monitored the jammers from her station. Captain, the quantum virus is uploading to their systems. It's working better than expected. The virus was Dr. Volkov's masterpiece, a self-replicating program designed to infiltrate the collective's hive consciousness and create cascading failures throughout their network. As the space battle raged, Major Jackson's team approached the mothership in their stealth dropship. With the enemy fleet distracted and the mothership's defenses focused outward, they found a vulnerable access point near one of the harvesting chambers. Chimera Squad, final equipment check, Jackson ordered as they prepared to board. Remember, our primary objective is to free the Luminari prisoners and gather intelligence on the collective's central processing core. The squad breached the mothership with surgical precision, encountering minimal resistance at first. Inside, they found a nightmarish scene, thousands of Luminari connected to biological processing units, their neural energy being systematically harvested to enhance the collective's hive mind. My gods, Lieutenant Cortez whispered, they're being kept alive deliberately. Jackson accessed a nearby terminal. The central processing core is 5 levels down. That's where they're coordinating the entire harvest operation. And that's where we're going, Sergeant Khalid added grimly. The squad fought their way deeper into the mothership, encountering increasingly heavy resistance. The Void collective soldiers moved with perfect coordination at first, but as Dr. Volkov's virus spread through their systems, their movements became erratic and uncoordinated. Meanwhile, in space, the human fleet pressed their advantage. With the mothership isolated and the collective ships in disarray, Captain Novik ordered a concentrated attack on the enemy's command vessels. Target their propulsion systems, she commanded. Disable them, don't destroy them. We want prisoners, not martyrs. One by one, the collective ships were immobilized. Without their hive-mind connection, they couldn't adapt to the humans' unpredictable tactics. Inside the mothership, Jackson's team reached the central processing core, a massive chamber filled with organic computing systems and quantum entanglement devices. At the center stood what appeared to be the physical manifestation of the collective's consciousness, a towering structure of biological and technological components. This is it, Jackson said, scanning the chamber with his tactical systems. Plant the charges at these points. We're going to shut them down permanently. As Chimera Squad set their explosives, an alarm sounded throughout the mothership. Doors sealed shut around them and defensive systems activated. They've detected us, Lieutenant Cortez reported, her weapon at the ready. Jackson remained calm. Stick to the plan. Set the charges, free the prisoners, extract to the rendezvous point. Humanity doesn't leave innocents behind. The final confrontation was brutal but brief. The Void Collective, even in its weakened state, fought to protect its central consciousness. But they had never faced anything like human soldiers, beings evolved on a death world, trained for combat in the harshest conditions, and driven by the moral imperative to protect the innocent. As the last charges were set, Jackson gave the order to retreat. Fall back to Extraction Point Alpha. We have 5 minutes before detonation. The squad fought their way back through the mothership, freeing Luminari prisoners as they went. When they reached their dropship, nearly 100 rescued Luminari were with them. All personnel aboard, Lieutenant Cortez reported as the last Luminari was helped inside. Captain Novik, this is Major Jackson, he transmitted. Package is delivered. Chimera Squad is extracting with survivors. Detonation in 2 minutes. Acknowledged, Major, came Novik's reply. All human vessels clear the blast radius, prepare for shockwave. The mothership erupted from within, the strategic charges destroying its processing core and severing the connections that bound the collective consciousness together. Throughout the system, the remaining Void collective ships went silent, their crews suddenly cut off from the hive mind that had controlled them for generations. In the aftermath, Captain Novik stood before the Luminari Council, Major Jackson and his squad at her side. The rescued Luminari, still recovering from their ordeal, looked upon the humans with something approaching reverence. The Void Collective has been neutralized, Novik reported. Their ships have been disabled and their crews placed in stasis until we can determine if they can function as individuals. The head counselor's voice was filled with emotion as she responded. The Luminari conquered owes humanity a debt we can never repay. You risked yourselves for strangers, fought our battle when we could not. That's what humans do, Novik replied simply. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. As the human fleet prepared to depart, a new alliance was formed. The Luminari, with their advanced sciences and regenerative capabilities, offered to share their knowledge with humanity. In return, the United Earth Defense Force would provide protection and security for the rebuilding Luminari civilization. Major Jackson stood on the observation deck of the Thunderchild, watching as the Luminari homeworld grew smaller in the distance. Commander Ortiz joined him, offering a rare smile. The Admiralty is calling this an unprecedented success, Ortiz said. First contact, military intervention, and alliance formation in less than 2 Earth weeks. Jackson nodded, his expression thoughtful. They called us Deathworlders, you know, the Luminari, like it was something to be afraid of. Aren't we? Ortiz asked. Perhaps, Jackson replied. But today proved something important. The same adaptations that let us survive on Earth, the same strength and determination that made us Deathworlders, also made us the perfect defenders for those who cannot defend themselves. As the human fleet jumped to hyperspace, word of their victory spread throughout nearby star systems. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage not as conquerors but as protectors. And throughout the stars, both allies and potential adversaries took notice of the species from Earth, the Deathworlders who had delivered a devastating response to those who preyed upon the weak.